My dad told the social worker I wasn't worth the paperwork, said keeping me was like dragging dead weight through life. But the second they ran my records, the room went silent, and suddenly the man who raised me wasn't my savior anymore. He was a suspect. If stories about hidden truths and brutal family betrayals hit you hard, consider subscribing, only if you believe the past always comes back to collect. The day everything cracked open didn't start with some dramatic showdown. It started with paperwork. A folding chair, a buzzing fluorescent light, the kind that hums like it's annoyed you're alive. I sat in the county welfare office in Detroit, with my hands folded in my lap, trying to look smaller than I felt. My dad, Marcus Dean, sat across from me, leaning back like this was an inconvenience instead of a conversation about my future. "She's 18 now," the caseworker said carefully, glancing between us. "We need to confirm continued dependency status or emancipation." Marcus didn't even hesitate. "She's not my responsibility anymore," he said flatly. Not angry, not emotional, just done. Like I was a bill he didn't feel like paying. I kept my eyes on the floor. Years of practice had taught me that making eye contact only made things worse. "You sure about that?" the caseworker asked. Marcus shrugged. "She's always been trouble. Lazy, can't hold a job, always needs something." I swallowed. I worked 2 jobs, but in his world, if it didn't benefit him, it didn't exist. "She's had food, a roof," he added. "That's more than most." That line always came out when he wanted to sound generous, like survival was charity. The caseworker nodded slowly and pulled up my file. "I just need to verify identity before finalizing." Her fingers paused on the keyboard. She frowned, typed again, then leaned forward. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice tightening slightly. "Can you confirm her social security number?" Marcus rattled it off without hesitation. He'd memorized it years ago, not because he cared, because it was useful. The caseworker entered it again. This time, the screen must have told her something different. Her posture changed. She sat up straighter. "Just a moment," she murmured. She picked up the phone and dialed quietly. I couldn't hear what she said, but I saw her eyes flick toward me, then back to Marcus, then back to the screen. Marcus shifted in his seat. "What's the holdup?" "Just routine verification." But her voice didn't match her words. It had gone thin, tense, like she was standing on something fragile. A man in a navy suit walked in less than 3 minutes later. Not county staff. Too sharp, too calm. He walked straight to the desk and looked at the screen, then at me. And something in his face changed. Not confusion, recognition. "Is this her?" he asked quietly. The caseworker nodded. Marcus frowned. "Who the hell are you?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he turned to me. "Miss Dean, can you tell me where you were born?" Marcus scoffed. "She was born right here in Wayne County. I was there." But the man wasn't looking at him. He was looking at me. I hesitated, because the truth was, I didn't know. Marcus had always answered that question for me. "Hospital burned down," he used to say. "Records lost. You're lucky I even got you a certificate." So I said the only thing I could. "I'm not sure." The man nodded slowly. Then he said something that made the air in the room feel heavy. "This social security number belongs to a child reported missing in 2006. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. "That's ridiculous." But no one else did. The caseworker looked pale. The man continued. "Name, Olivia Kane." My heart stuttered. I didn't know why. "Declared kidnapped from a playground in Palo Alto, California." Marcus slammed his hand on the desk. "That's insane." But his voice cracked on the last word. And that's when I noticed something. The sweat forming at his temple, the way his foot had started tapping. The man in the suit stepped closer to me. "Miss Olivia," he said gently, "can you tell me anything before age 5? I hesitated. because the truth was, I didn't know. Marcus always said I was a quiet kid, didn't talk much, didn't remember much. Convenient, right? The man nodded once, then reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. He showed me a picture. A little girl with dark curls and a crooked grin, holding a red balloon, standing next to a woman who looked like she hadn't slept in days. Do you recognize this child? I stared at the image, and my chest tightened, because something about that girl felt familiar. Not like a memory, like a ghost. Marcus stood up abruptly. We're done here. 2 security officers stepped into the doorway before he could move. Not aggressive, just present. Marcus froze. What is this? The man in the suit finally looked at him. My name is Daniel Price. I'm with a private investigative firm working on behalf of the Kane family. The name hung in the air. Marcus's face went white. They've been searching for your daughter for 18 years. Silence swallowed the room. I felt like I was watching someone else's life, like none of this could possibly be about me. Marcus shook his head. This is a mistake. Daniel didn't respond. Instead, he placed a sealed envelope on the desk. DNA results came in this morning. Marcus's eyes darted to it, then back to Daniel, then to me. And in that moment, I saw something I had never seen before. Fear. Real fear. The kind that doesn't come from anger. The kind that comes from being exposed. You said she was a burden, Daniel said quietly. Marcus didn't answer. You said she wasn't worth the paperwork. Still nothing. Daniel slid the envelope toward me. Inside was a single page, and one line stood out. Probability of biological match, 99.98%. The room felt too small, too loud, too bright. Marcus backed away like the paper was radioactive. This is fake, he whispered. But no one believed him, not even me. Because suddenly, all those missing baby pictures made sense. All those lost documents. All those stories about why no one else ever came looking. They weren't accidents. They were lies. And the man who raised me wasn't just a bad father. He was the reason my real father had spent 18 years searching. Daniel looked at me, and for the first time, his voice softened. They never stopped looking for you. Marcus's breathing had gone ragged. This is insane, he said again. But now he sounded like he was trying to convince himself, not us. Daniel turned back to him. Marcus Dean, you didn't raise a burden. He paused. You raised evidence. The second Daniel said it, the air shifted. Not emotionally, legally. You could feel it, like the room stopped being a welfare office and quietly turned into a crime scene. Marcus straightened up, like instinct kicked in. Hold up, he said. You don't get to walk in here and start throwing accusations. Daniel didn't flinch. I'm not accusing, he replied calmly. I'm informing. Marcus looked at me, and for a split second, he didn't see a daughter. He saw a problem, a liability, a loose end. And I knew that look, because I'd been on the receiving end of it my whole life. The caseworker cleared her throat. Sir, I think it would be best if... Marcus ignored her. This is ridiculous, he snapped. You think I kidnapped a kid from California and just, moved here and raised her like nothing happened? Daniel tilted his head slightly. That's exactly what we think. Silence hit the room like a dropped anvil. Marcus laughed again, but this time it sounded forced, sharp, like glass cracking under pressure. You got any idea how insane that sounds? He said. Daniel reached into his briefcase, pulled out another folder, placed it on the desk. Inside were photos, a park, police tape, a missing child flyer dated June 14, 2006, and at the center of it, that same little girl with the red balloon, Olivia Kane, me. Marcus didn't touch the photos, didn't look at them, because he didn't need to. he already knew. I felt it then, that slow, sinking realization, like a floor collapsing under your feet. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't some bureaucratic mix-up. This was something buried, something ugly, something deliberate. "How long have you known?" I asked quietly. Marcus's head snapped toward me. "I didn't." "Don't," I said. For the first time in my life, I didn't shrink, didn't lower my voice. Just don't lie again. He stared at me, and I saw it. The calculation. Not guilt, not regret, damage control. Daniel stepped forward. "We believe Marcus was involved in an identity substitution shortly after the abduction." Marcus scoffed. "In English?" "He replaced Olivia Kane's identity with your own undocumented child." I blinked. "What?" Daniel glanced at me. "You were never registered at birth, were you?" I shook my head slowly. Marcus always said the hospital lost everything, said bureaucracy was useless, said we didn't need the system. Turns out, the system was the only thing that could have exposed him. "He used her documentation," Daniel continued, "to secure benefits, education access, health care." Marcus snapped. "I was providing for her." Daniel's gaze hardened. "You were profiting from her." That landed. Marcus's jaw tightened. I felt something twist inside my chest. All those times he called me expensive, all those lectures about how much I owed him, all those reminders that I was lucky he kept me around. He wasn't supporting me. I was supporting him through a life that was never mine. "You said I was a burden," I whispered. Marcus didn't answer, because now we both knew the truth. I was his insurance policy. The room door opened again. 2 more men entered. Plain clothes, but you didn't need a badge to recognize authority. Daniel nodded toward them. "They'll be conducting further questioning." Marcus laughed again, but this time it was desperate. "You don't have anything," he said to me. "You don't even know what happened back then." Daniel met his eyes. "We know Olivia Kane vanished from a public park at 3:17 p.m. Marcus swallowed. "We know a man matching your description was seen there that afternoon." His breathing got louder. "We know you left California 3 weeks later." Marcus's hands clenched into fists. "And we know," Daniel finished, "that your daughter, your real daughter, was born in 2005. That hit like a bomb. I turned toward Marcus. "You had a daughter?" He didn't look at me, didn't even try to deny it. "She died," he muttered. The words hung there, flat, heavy. Daniel nodded once. "SIDS at 8 months. The room went quiet again. Even the fluorescent light seemed to dim. "And 3 weeks later," Daniel said softly, "you moved across the country with a child who conveniently had documentation." Marcus slammed his hand at the desk. "I was not killing anyone!" "No one said you did," Daniel replied, "but you replaced someone." The silence after that felt suffocating. I stared at Marcus. This man who raised me, who fed me just enough, who reminded me daily I was lucky, who made me feel like an unwanted guest in my own life. "You lost her," I said slowly, "and then you took someone else." He didn't deny it, didn't confess either, but his silence said enough. The security officer shifted closer. Marcus noticed. "You think this changes anything?" he snapped at me. "You think they're gonna welcome you with open arms?" I didn't respond because I didn't know. But I knew one thing. "I wasn't a burden," I said quietly. Marcus's expression twisted. "You were work," he shot back. And there it was, the truth. No love, no sentiment, just utility. Daniel stepped between us. "That's enough." Marcus leaned back in his chair, suddenly calm again,
like he'd decided on a strategy. "You don't have a case. Statute of limitations." Daniel smiled faintly. "For kidnapping, maybe." Marcus excited instantly. "Exactly. But identity fraud doesn't expire when it's ongoing." Marcus's smile faltered. "Every tax filing," Daniel said, "every benefit claimed, every signature." He tapped the folder. "Those clocks are still ticking." Marcus's breathing changed again, faster now, more shallow, because suddenly this wasn't about the past, it was about the present and the future, and the fact that everything he built might have been standing on stolen ground. Daniel turned to me. "The Kane family has been notified." My stomach flipped. "What happens now?" He answered simply, "Now the truth catches up."
2 hours sounds like nothing until you're waiting to meet the people who were supposed to raise you. Then it feels like a lifetime stretched across broken glass. Daniel arranged for us to move to a private conference room upstairs. Neutral walls, big windows, too clean to feel real. I sat on the couch, staring at my hands. Same hands Marcus always said were too soft to be useful. Same hands that worked double shifts. Same hands that apparently didn't belong to the life I lived. "You okay?" Daniel asked. "No," I said. He nodded, like that was the only honest answer. "They're nervous too," he added. That didn't help, because here's the thing nobody talks about. Finding your real family isn't just a reunion, it's a collision. 2 timelines smashing into each other. One built on love, one built on survival, and only one of them is yours. I kept thinking about Marcus's last words. "You'll see." Not a threat, a prediction. Like he knew something I didn't. "What if they don't want me?" I asked. Daniel didn't sugarcoat it. "They've spent 18 years fighting for you." That wasn't the same thing. Fighting for an idea is different from loving a person. I wasn't the little girl in the photo anymore. I was someone shaped by someone else's damage. The door opened quietly, and the air changed again. Not like before, not tense, heavy. A man stepped in first, tall, graying at the temples, eyes that scanned the room like he was searching for something he'd already lost once. Behind him, a woman. She looked like she'd lived every day of the last 18 years in a waiting room. Daniel stood. "Mr. and Mrs. Kane?" The man nodded stiffly. Then his eyes landed on me, and the world stopped. Because I saw it instantly. Recognition. Not from memory, from instinct. Like something in him just knew. The woman covered her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. I didn't move, didn't speak, because this wasn't like movies. There was no swelling music, no perfect moment, just raw, awkward reality. The man took a step forward, then stopped, like he didn't know if he had the right. "It's Ethan," he said carefully. "My name's Laura." I nodded, didn't say anything, because what do you say? "Hi, sorry I was kidnapped and raised by someone else. Nice to meet you after 18 years. Laura took another step, tears already falling. "You look like my mother," she said. That broke something in her voice. I swallowed. Daniel quietly stepped back, giving us space. Ethan reached into his jacket, pulled out something. A photo. He placed it on the table. Another little girl. Same curls, same crooked grin, same red balloon. But this time, she was laughing. "Her favorite park," he said. I stared at it, and for the first time, a memory flickered. Not clear, not complete, but there. Sunlight, laughter, warm hands. I sucked in a breath. Laura saw it. "You remember something?" "I don't know," I admitted. That didn't stop her crying harder, because even a maybe was more than she'd had in 18 years. Ethan didn't cry. He just watched me, like he was afraid I'd disappear again if he blinked. "You don't have to decide anything today," he said. "We just wanted to see you. No pressure, no expectations,
just presence. And that hit harder than anything Marcus ever said, because Marcus always wanted something: gratitude, obedience, usefulness. These people just wanted me, and I didn't know how to handle that. "I'm not who you think I am," I said. Laura shook her head instantly. "You're exactly who we think you are." I looked away, because that felt like too much, too fast, too dangerous. Daniel's phone buzzed. He checked it. His expression shifted. Not panic, but something close. "What?" Ethan asked. Daniel hesitated, then said, "Marcus Dean just filed an emergency civil claim." My stomach dropped. "For what?" Daniel met my eyes. "Guardianship dispute." Silence. "He's claiming emotional dependency," Daniel explained. "He's trying to establish continued legal influence." Laura's face went pale. "He can't do that." Daniel exhaled slowly. "He's not trying to win. He's trying to delay, because delay meant control, and control meant leverage." Ethan's jaw tightened. "What does he want?" Daniel didn't answer right away. He didn't have to. We all knew. Me. Not as a daughter, as an asset. As long as things were legally tangled, he still had a foothold. Laura turned to me. "You don't have to go back." "I'm not," I said immediately, and I meant it. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of losing him. I was afraid of him not losing me. Daniel's voice was steady. "This isn't about custody," he said. "It's about financial exposure." Ethan frowned. "What?" Daniel leaned forward. "If Olivia is legally recognized as your daughter," he paused, "then everything Marcus claimed under her identity becomes fraud." Laura's eyes widened. "How much?" Daniel didn't hesitate. 18 years worth. Benefits, tax credits, insurance, state aid, possibly more. Marcus hadn't just raised me, he'd built a life on my existence. And now, that life was cracking. "He's not fighting for her," Daniel said quietly. "He's fighting for survival." I felt something settle in my chest. Cold. Clear. This wasn't about family anymore. It was about consequences. Laura reached for my hand. I hesitated, then let her. Her grip was warm, shaking, real. And for the first time, it didn't feel like obligation. It felt like choice. Daniel's phone buzzed again. He read the message, then looked up. "He's on his way." The room went still. "Here?" Ethan asked. Daniel nodded. Marcus wasn't done. Not by a long shot. And something told me he wasn't coming to talk.
Marcus didn't knock. He never did. The conference room door swung open like he owned the place. Same posture, same calm walk, but his eyes, those weren't calm. They were desperate, and desperation makes people dangerous. He stopped when he saw Ethan and Laura, took the men like opponents across a chessboard. "So," he said, "this is the reunion." Laura's hand tightened around mine. Ethan stepped slightly forward, not aggressive, protective. Marcus smirked. "You must be the ones who lost her." Ethan didn't rise to it. "I'm the one who never stopped looking," he replied. Marcus chuckled. "Must have been exhausting." Daniel stepped between them. "This isn't productive." Marcus ignored him. His eyes were on me. "You really think this changes anything?" he asked. I didn't answer, because I already knew. He wasn't here for reconciliation. He was here to control the narrative. "You grew up with me," he said. "I fed you, clothed you, kept you alive." There it was again, the transaction, not love, a ledger. Ethan's voice was steady. "You stole her." Marcus shrugged. "I raised her." Laura's voice broke. "She was never yours." Marcus turned to her. "And yet," he said softly, "I'm the one she calls Dad." The room went still, because that was the blade he wanted to twist. Identity, history, loyalty, the psychological cage he'd built over 18 years. He looked back at me. "You think they know you?" he asked. "They know the kid you were. I know who you became." And for a moment, I felt it, the pull, the weight of habit, of survival. But then I remembered something. He didn't love who I became, he shaped it for his benefit. Daniel stepped in. Marcus, the civil filing won't hold. Marcus smiled. It doesn't need to. He reached into his briefcase, pulled out a document. Because this will. He slid it across the table. Daniel read it, and his expression changed. What? Ethan asked. Daniel exhaled. He's filed a financial dependency claim. Laura frowned. I'm 18. Marcus smiled wider. But you weren't when I raised you. Daniel looked at me. He's arguing reimbursement. Silence. For what? I asked. Marcus answered himself. 18 years of care. Food, housing, education, medical expenses. He leaned back. You want your old life back? Then pay for the one you lived. Laura gasped. That's insane. Marcus shrugged. Is it? Daniel spoke quietly. He's trying to force a settlement. Because if he won even partially, he'd walk away with something. Money, leverage, dignity. I looked at Marcus, and for the first time, I saw him clearly, not as the man who raised me, but as the man who used me. You're billing me? I asked. Marcus met my gaze. I invested in you. There it was. No pretense, no love, just profit. Ethan's voice dropped. You kidnapped a child and now you want compensation? Marcus smiled thinly. I saved one. Laura's hand shook in mine. You replaced your grief with theft, she whispered. Marcus's face vanished. For the first time, that hit. Daniel closed the folder. This won't hold. Marcus leaned forward. It'll hold long enough. Long enough to drag this out. Long enough to bleed them. Long enough to make walking away easier than fighting. He stood. You want her back? He looked at Ethan and Laura. Then buy out the past. And just like that, he showed his hand. Not love, not attachment, a price tag. I stood up slowly. No. Marcus blinked. You don't get to invoice my existence, I said. His jaw tightened. You owe me. I owe you nothing. Silence cracked through the room. 18 years of control. Gone in one sentence. Marcus's face hardened. You think you can just walk away? Daniel answered before I could. She can. Marcus laughed. We'll see. Daniel nodded. Yes, he said, we will. Because the truth was, Marcus had built his life on stolen ground, and now the ground was collapsing. Civil courts, financial audits, identity fraud investigations. Every thread he pulled to save himself would tighten the noose. He turned to leave, stopped at the door. You'll regret this, he said to me. But I didn't feel fear. I felt clarity. No, I replied, you will. He left without another word, and this time it wasn't power walking out, it was a man running out of time. The room stayed silent long after the door shut. Laura wiped her tears. Ethan exhaled. Daniel looked at me. You okay? I thought about it. About the girl in the photo, about the life I lived, about the man who turned survival into debt. I'm not a burden, I said. Laura shook her head. Never were. Ethan added quietly, you were stolen. And for the first time, those words didn't feel like damage. They felt like truth. Because this wasn't about being rescued, it was about being reclaimed. Not by them, but by myself. Marcus spent 18 years trying to convince me I was something that needed to earn its place. But value isn't something someone else assigns, and love isn't something you invoice. Some people build their lives on control, on guilt, on gratitude. But when the truth shows up, those structures don't crumble slowly. They collapse all at once. Marcus thought he raised a burden. Instead, he raised the only person who would expose everything. And this time, there was no invoice, only consequences.